And we're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Is It Just Us?
Is it?
Is it though? Like, someone please tell us. We need to know the answer to that most important question.
Maybe.
I am Lucifer Storm, and as always, I'm with my main man, Russ, Comicbook, Blackbelt, Leach. Russ, let people know where they can find you.
You can find me as Comicbook Blackbelt on my YouTube channel. You can find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, or onlydeathcansavus.com, which will be coming to an Indiegogo near you very soon. And you can sign up for a newsletter there. And the usual places: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, that stuff.
All that jazz. And you can find me at luciferstorm.com. Don't worry about the rest. You'll find me in other places, but that's probably the best place to go. And if you want to check out Russ's YouTube channel, then check out the description box down below. I think it's time for the musical interlude. Oh, it's not a banjo this week. I'm going with the acoustic. So I don't care if you are Chuck Norris. That's my fucking pony. Hands off.
Yes.
I've got to try and do a new one of those every fucking week. I'm going to run out at some point.
Go for it.
I've got a few lined up that I'm not going to use them yet. I'm going to wait.
I like that.
So, before we get into this episode, I do, if I can remember where the fuck I held this. We've had some awesome comments on some of these streams, and I want to give a quick shout out to Cyber Leterbot, because they posted a comment on one of the videos, and YouTube decided, no, we can't have that up there. We're going to suppress it. So YouTube, go fuck yourself. Also, on top of that, I love that move. On top of that, I also want to give a shout out to L337 Koala, who wrote this comment saying, Lucifer, I've been loving the content of your channel. Looking forward to your comic. Gonna go drop some love on Russ's channel. Just started to check out his channel after you recommended him just before this podcast started up. Keep being awesome, both of you.
That's cool. Thank you.
That's fucking awesome.
Did they also make a comment about me and the corona beer virus? Was it that comment above? I think they said thanks for.
Yes, they said that they appreciated that, even though you didn't agree with the lockdown, you were still sticking to the rules.
Yes, because you've always. Well, I was going to write a comment back earlier, but I thought no, it'd be easier to say something now, because even though you may or may not agree with it, you've always got to err on the side of safety, and other people are more important. You always got to think of others, and that's what's really important. You're not here to think about yourself. You're here to think about others and how you work with them. And it's like problems. It's not the problems that hit you during their life. It's how you deal with them. That's just my personal way of getting through things. So
that's well fucking said, mate.
I might get upset at things every now and then, but do you know what? As long as my friends and family are okay and people are doing all right. That's really important,
I mean, like, you've got your inner circle, you've got your outer circle, and the inner circle is the stuff that you can look after, that you can tend to. It's the part of the garden that you can touch.
Exactly.
That's your friends, that's your family, the awesome people watching this show.
Yeah, check them out.
On to you guys. So that's the bit that people need to worry about. Not the other shit. Not the other shit. No. And we've already got fucking people in the chat. So good evening to Mario, Wakey J87, Stinch Whackbacker, and Crimson Owl Comics. Hope you're keeping well.
I now have to say another thank you as well, because Ronnie did and Robert Ogre and Fogbreaker Studios did a fantastic review of my first ever graphic novel, Terminus of Fenton's Green, and they were very kind about my artwork. They thoroughly enjoyed the book. I got a 7 and an 8 out of 10, which was really, really good, because obviously nothing is a 10. Well, very few things are. And it was, I was so chuffed with their review, and they really delved into it and analyzed it, and no punches were pulled. It was really, really cool. And I left a note, and so I'll reissue the note, as it were. Adam Cheel, the writer on this, had a visual idea for where this book was going to go, and it started with him. I added to it the colorist Mike Summers, who's brilliant, and then Mindy Lopkin, added the text, and I actually did the design for the book as well. So I got a chance of doing jacket design and the internal bits and pieces. And even though I look at some of the art and cringe a little bit because I've moved on, I'm still extraordinarily proud of the book as a whole. It really presented very well, and that was an absolutely stonking review. Thank you very much, all three of you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, Russ, what have you been up to since our last episode?
Right. What have I been up to? I've finished Storm Chasers 8.
Oh, nice.
So that's done. Apart from really minor things that I find it before I send it off to the colorist. And now I'm in full production on Only Death Can Save Us. So today and yesterday I was doing research. I knew a bit about Indiegogo and about what I was going to do as far as campaigns and stuff like that was concerned, but I really needed to sit down and have a proper notation session where I noted, what I was going to do, like a store for t-shirts and stuff like that, update websites, making sure that I had a proper Facebook page for the book, looking into the Indiegogo and exactly how that works, that I can put up a holding page for up to 6 months before I start the campaign, so that's going to go up pretty soon. All those bits and pieces, but also marketing artwork. And I made a couple of changes on the imps in the book. I wanted them to look a slightly different way. So I've got to go back through the first 8 pages and slightly change them, which isn't a big deal. But also I started a brand new cover. It's a wraparound cover.
Nice.
And I finished the sketch for that tonight. So and fortunately, because it's a wraparound cover, I'm going to be able to use it in banner form on things like the Indiegogo campaign and stuff like that. So
awesome,
but I've also set down like all the other marketing art. So for instance, in the campaign there will be, as a perk at some point, there will be a set of 4 postcards so that you can get the 4 horsemen. There'll be posters and there'll be prints, also obviously Chrissy the key, she will obviously show up as well. So yeah, just all the marketing art I've got to get to really. And also I've reached out to one person, Amrit Birdie, who did what was the book he did? It was on the top seller list. No, it's Password or something like that. He's going to hate me for this because I can't remember the name of the book. But he's I met him a long time ago, as in my career, as a comic strip artist, and we worked together on a few bits and pieces. He's an absolutely top bloke, and he's going to do me a pin-up of D.
Nice.
And I'm going to reach out to some other artists to get them to do pin-ups for me as well.
Cool,
there's
man.
one particular artist, and I'm going to let this out now before I've even asked him. He might say no, and if he does, that's absolutely no problem at all. But I know there's a guy out there. I've bought his book, Rob Willis, who's doing Samurai Sasquatch or something like that. I can't remember the exact name because I'm shit at that.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, and I've bought that book because I just think the art looks fantastic in it. I'm going to reach out to him and see if he wants to go, because I think his art, because it's a bit David Finchy, and I think it would look really good on any of the characters. But there's other people that I might reach out to as well. It just depends how expensive they are for me to get them to do the pin-up for me. Really, that's what it comes down to. So I'm looking out to other artists to see if they'll do something. I've got a few ideas for some people as well, but some British artists as well that I'd like to have a crack at it. So
awesome, man, awesome. So in other words, you've been busy as fuck.
Yeah. Salazar's gone. Bye, Salazar.
Salazar, how the devil art thou?
You're watching the replay.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Yeah, I've been.
So what have you been up to? Come on.
I've been keeping busy. I've been keeping busy best that I can. Just like I'm still working on like the plotting of the Bigger Lady Satan story. It's something that's taking a lot more time than I originally anticipated, which unfortunately does put the book on hold a little bit. But I'm someone who believes that I need to give it my best shot, regardless of how much time it takes, because like I want to give readers the best quality content that I can, and I want to make sure it's as cheap as fuck, which means that unfortunately people are going to have to wait for me, I'm afraid. Do apologize, but that's just how shit works. You can't have it all. If you can, then great, I will do my best, but that's just not how it works. On top of that, you know, I've been doing music stuff because I've been speaking to the people at like my local pub, especially the events organizer there, and he was like, he heard like my 3-track EP and stuff, and he was like, it'd be really good to get you to do like an evening of some murder folk stuff. Cool. And I was like, oh yep, fantastic. Once that pub's open, more than happy to book a date. I've been working on like a portrait of Ted Bundy, because every now and then I just like to do like a portrait kind of like in my art style. It doesn't need to be like super fucking rendered or fucking so photorealistic it hurts. It just a little something to do. It just keeps me on my toes art wise. But I've spent most of the week since last week's episode working on a little story. Working on I always say a fucking little story, because they all start little. They all start little. They never fucking stay that way. All of a sudden, that little one shot that you're like, oh, this will only be 16 pages. Boom, 360 pages later. I
hope not.
Yeah, I fucking hope not as well. I'm keeping it as compressed as possible. I don't want to say too much about it just yet.
So this is our thing, yeah?
Oh yeah, this is
It was an inevitability that once we got together,
it was going to happen.
It was we were going to get a comic baby.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. Just like whenever I see my friends, it's bound to happen that I'm going to lick someone's face. It is just going to happen. You just have to sit back and take it.
It would be rude not to.
Exactly. So yeah, I've been working on like the not just the external plot for that, but like some of the character development and some of like the internal stuff for the characters, for the leads of this story, and getting like one thing I love fucking dealing with when it comes to characters is dealing with their psychology. So that's what I've been really focused on, going, okay, well, if the character, like, let's say that we have a character who's got like borderline personality disorder, then I have to figure out, okay, how did that come about? What were the events that led to them having this? And what's the repercussions of them having that personality disorder? So I'm looking through each character very carefully and going, I don't want them to be too similar to each other. I want them to be very unique, but there has to be something about each one that brings them together. And like those parts of their psychology, they kind of complement each other, but it also helps them to kind of, I love adding insult to injury when it comes to characters and their stories. Just going, oh, they think they've got it tough now. Oh, poor little buggers. They don't realize what I've got in store for them. If I was God, I would be a dick. Okay. And my stories fucking prove that. If my characters were real people, they'd be like, you know what, God, he's a fucking cunt, he is.
Stinch said, the addiction to tell a long story is overly ambitious and feeds the ego quite badly, and that sucks when drawing a mech on top of it.
But no, like I'm trying to approach this one a bit differently, because a lot of my stuff has more of a horror theme to it, and this is a bit more. This will still have a horror theme to it. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. But it is more of a science fiction story at the end of the day, and it's not just about. Even though it's a science fiction story, I wouldn't say that it's plot heavy. I would say it's more character heavy than anything else. And not just that, I'm very much aware that when I write a script, 9 times out of 10, I'm the dick that's drawing it. But this is one of those occasions where I get to go, oh, my wish has come true. I'm not the one drawing it.
I'm the dick drawing it.
So I have to rethink how I write a script. Because how I write a script for me, I could give to you and you could turn around and go, Fway, fuck off. And I wouldn't blame you. I would not blame you whatsoever. If you wrote a script for me the way I write a script for me, I'd be like, it's not happening. Sorry, no.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you, once I've done all the pencils on Only Death Can Save Us, I'm going to lay all the lettering down. Okay. And if you don't mind, I'm going to pass you the script and the PDF of that so that you can see what I've done for myself.
Right.
So that you can see maybe how you can shortcut your own stuff. You don't necessarily need to do all the things you would normally do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I that would be great for me, because then it's going to help me be a bit more conscious when writing the script, going, okay, well, this is how Russ likes to work. So I want to keep as close to that as possible, especially as if I'm writing for me, then they're my characters anyway. It's okay if I get a bit like over detailed and stuff.
Yeah.
But in this case, yes, they may be my characters, they may be my story, but I want as much creative input from you as well. I don't want to be going, okay, I'm the director, you're the dog's body. I want it to be like, look, this is what I've got. Add your flair to that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to restrict you either.
No, of course not.
But just, if we can get a smooth working process. Exactly. I mean, I read your script to Lady Death or whatever it is. What is
Lady
it?
Satan.
Lady Satan. That's it. Don't ever take offense at me forgetting things, because I'm
no, it's cool, man.
Lady Satan, and it wasn't that far from the way I wrote my script, to be honest.
Oh, right.
It was a little bit more in it, a little bit more filled out, but then that all comes down to how we manage it. So yeah,
exactly. I mean, like, this is the first time that we're doing something like this together, so there are going to be like little speed bumps where it's going to be like, okay, I need to learn from you, you need to learn from me, kind of like, okay, this is how we work best together. But that's like any fucking project when you do a collaboration with someone, so it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed that you got something to share here.
You can. I'll show this to the world. This is the. No, not that bit.
Oh, easy.
No, that's just me changing some heads. There we go.
There it is.
So that's going to be the new wraparound cover for Only Death Can Save Us.
That looks fantastic.
So what you'll do is you'll have a panel down here on the back of the book for bits and pieces, quotes and stuff, and the logo will go sort of up there ish.
Nice.
So I was quite pleased with that. It's got more of the sort of it's got more of the sort of Dungeons and Dragons stroke Asgard, Marvel Asgard kind of, like the legions of hell, as it were, or another place, and he's fighting them off. So I wanted to kind of get that onto this cover and have the original cover I did was kind of the two of them fighting in a very Bronze Age way.
Yeah.
And I was going to put word bubbles on that as well, and it was quite cool. But I thought that the problem is that I'm inspired by the Bronze Age, very much so. But my style doesn't look typically Bronze Age. It's been crafted through seeing lots of different styles and having lots of different inputs. Even though those are my primary inspirations, there's still lots of other things that creep in. So, and there are other artists out there, especially older artists who are coming back, who nail that Bronze Age style. Absolutely nail it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to nail Bronze Age. Bronze Age is my inspiration.
Yeah.
It's a Bronze Age inspired book, but it is not a Bronze Age book. It's got to have its own. So I thought maybe I should go just a tad darker on the art as far as the tone, and just give it a little bit more of the feels, and go a little bit more graphic novel than comic book. And just because of the way that the thing sold originally, when I went to a couple of publishers, I went the whole comic book route, which is why that cover is in the 9-page preview.
Yeah.
But it didn't get picked up, so sod it. I'll go full on graphic novel. So that's why I'm redoing that, and also to, like I was saying, redoing the marketing art. So yeah,
I think it's wise to go graphic novel, because I think regardless of whether anyone likes to hear this or not, or whether anyone wants to accept it or not, the comic book industry is suffering, and that's the single issues.
Yeah.
But when it comes to graphic novels, they're doing much better. And manga is put in the same realm as the graphic novel, and that's doing shitloads better.
Yeah.
And that just, speaking to a lot of people, both people who are comic book fans and people who have never read comic books, but they're interested, they all say the same thing. I don't want something that's so fucking tightly compressed. They want a whole story in one go, but they really want to get to know the characters. And they feel that when they pick up like a 22-page book, there's not that much room for the character development.
Well, again, and when the big two are writing for trade paperbacks, they expand their storytelling to a point that it's just boring. Especially in a 22-page book. So that's not because the creatives aren't capable. It's because they're writing for a particular way of outputting it. And at the moment, you've got people like there is only one, Peter Sammetti and Alterna Comics, who are nailing single issue comics because they're so damn cheap.
Yes.
He's absolutely, and of course the content, let's face it, a lot of their content is top class. It's really, really good. And it's the way comics should be. They're pulp. It's the way they should be. And people don't mind saying, I'll spend X on the shipping because I'm going to get 10 books. I'll get 10 books and the shipping for like $25 or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like
instead of 5 Marvel books.
when I was knee high to a grasshopper,
yeah,
I could get a bus to like the nearest comic book store, which was a bit of a journey anyway, and like I could slap down like $10 and walk away with about 5 books.
Easily.
And now if I go into one and slap down $10 for a single book, they mostly laugh at me.
Yeah,
they're like, "Are you fucking kidding?"
I was paying 7 of your English new pence for a comic book when I was a lad. I could get the bus to the local Martin's newsagent, pick up 2 comics, including a 2000 AD and a Captain Britain, get myself a bag of chips, and have change for an ice cream.
Oh, fucking hell. You had it better than I, man. Like back when I first started getting 2000 AD, 50 pence. 50 British pence for an issue of 2000 AD. And then I'd look at my change and go, oh, if only I was old enough to smoke. Because I've got enough here for like 12 packs of cigarettes easily.
How much is 2000 AD now?
2000 AD now, funnily enough, I got the latest issue today and it's not close to me. It's about $2.99.
Still better value than a Marvel comic.
Yes, it is better value than a Marvel comic for $2.99, but it is at that point now where it's like, yeah, you push that price up anymore, and I may have to let go of my subscription that I've got with you that I've had for years. Especially it's like now I'm opening the book, and once every 4 or 5 issues, I'm going, there's one story that I want to read.
Yeah, I had a subscription with them about 5 years ago, and I got it for a year.
Yeah,
and I just didn't go back. There were some quality stories in there's no doubt, but there was some pap as well, and and on the art and on the story side, and it just did not measure up in any way to the kind of comics I was buying as a lad. 2000 AD was just the nuts, and I didn't start off with 2000 AD. I started off with Star-Lord. That was combined with 2000, which is where Strontium Dog started, Carlos Esquerra. And that's where that started, and then it was pulled into 2000 AD, and then eventually was let go. But 2000 AD was where I carried on from. So Yeah.
Funnily enough, I started because when I was a kid, I'd get ill a hell of a lot. I was a prematurely born child anyway, so I had my own few health issues as it was. And as a kid, I'd get ill a lot. But like, whenever my friends at school got ill, they would come back and be like, "My parents got me this get well gift," and I'd be like, "My parents don't get me shit. I'm lucky if I get a pat on the back," kind of thing. So I remember saying to like my folks, sort of like, "Why don't I get a get well present when I'm ill?" And they're like, "Because you're always fucking ill. You will fucking
that is.
yeah, exactly." And then one time, like I got ill. And they came back and they'd just gone to the news agents. They were like, "Okay, here's a get well gift." And it was just this little stack of comics. I had a Superman, I had a Batman, I had a Spider-Man, and a Fantastic Four.
Oh, then the addiction started. That was it.
That is it. A couple of weeks later, when I felt better, I went down to W.H. Smith's. Couldn't find any of those books, but I found 2000 AD. And it was game on from there.
Game on. Could you get talking about distribution, because obviously that's part of what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Trying to get a comic from your local Smiths or Martins when we were kids was diabolical.
I know, right?
I've missed a week. No.
Yes.
I actually had the full set of Captain Britain comics.
Fuck.
And my mum threw them out.
What?
Bless her. She's gone now. But so have my comics. I can't believe she did that. I had a whole bunch of mid section, like 200-300s of Spider-Man as well, and I was gutted when I found out she'd thrown them out. I was gutted. But there you go. Yeah. Shit happens.
Shit does happen. I remember when I was younger, in my like teenage years, I had a bit of a house party that I probably shouldn't have had. And some of my comics went missing from that, including like my Spawn comics. And I was someone who I got on the Spawn train very early. So I had like issues 1 up to about issue 30.
Oh wow.
They all fucking disappeared. And I was like, no.
I managed to find the full the first 10 of Planet of the Apes.
Nice.
I've got them, and I found the first. I think I might have said this last week. First appearance of Daredevil in his yellow and red costume in Mighty World of Marvel. So I got a new ball.
Fucking hell! We've done that many episodes.
Unfortunately, no.
You drank most of the last one going, oh God, I've got to do another episode. Fuck, why did I agree to this? I'm so glad you mentioned Daredevil, because remember I said about my friends from the pub.
Yeah.
And that they got me the issue of Daredevil from the year and month that I was born.
Look at
it is. How dope is that? And I saw them the other day. Because they gave me this, and then they were like, oh, by the way, there is another present, but we've got to bring it. And I saw them the other day, and they were like, here it is, in beautiful unicorn and rainbow wrapping paper. Thanks, guys, because I know one of them's probably watching this. All right, Tony. But they also got me a serial killer coloring book.
Oh, fantastic. Look at that.
The
only colouring pen you need is red.
Exactly. Man, they are the coolest friends anyone could
that's pretty cool.
Have. I tell you what. So, man, I guess that leads us to the next section. Probably your favorite section, man. What's grinding your gears? Tread carefully.
Fucking everything. Okay,
everything.
What ground my gears this week? I think I was watching, and please, if anybody uses these programs, please don't take this personally. It is, I know it's my issue. It's not an external issue. It's an internal issue. I was watching this guy who was obviously really good at what he did. Mm-hmm. And he spent all this time using, is it Maya? No, it's the other one, Blender. 3D.
Oh, yeah.
To model this head. Okay. And he modeled this head, and it was all doing it. It was obviously all sped up, and he was talking about it over the top. And then he did a layer where he drew the face on top. And he obviously had some skills because he drew the face on top.
Yeah.
And then he went, now look at this. I'm going to put some lighting on it. Look at where the lighting is, and I can put the lighting on it. And it's like, I could have just drawn that for you in the same time you did that sped up fucking video. Why don't you just learn to draw, you cunt? Sorry. And I can absolutely say that because I'm pretty sure the guy could draw really, really well. Okay, I'm sure that he was really talented. But I just thought, why are you spending all this time with a program when you can just draw the light source yourself? You can draw the shadow yourself. So
was he doing it for a comic?
No, it was just one of those videos. It was an art video. I've been watching a few art videos this week, and I just thought, I just couldn't understand why. The only reason I could see or understand why is if people were to use 3-dimensional programs to make their comics with, which meant that they weren't trying to draw them.
Yeah.
Now I don't have a problem with people using 3D software. I don't have a problem. It's none of my fucking business. This is personal opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue if people want to make comics that way. You can make comics any way you bloody like. It's not up to me.
Fucking right.
My personal opinion is if you don't know how to do it for yourself, then you're missing a trick. Because it's all about storytelling. It's not about the art. It's not about making the perfect 3D person. Because if you make the perfect 3D person, half the time you get some of the artwork coming out of Marvel at the moment that looks like bloody pamphlets in an airplane to get you to the fucking exit when it's crashed. It's like, these are the escape exits. This is how to put on your life belt. No, it's supposed to be a comic, not a pamphlet. Come on. Anyway, some of that is awful. And like I say, this is all personal opinion, and there are some great artists out there and some great storytellers. And anybody is fully. You make comics the way you want to make them. It's up to you. Yeah. But I believe you've got to have a certain amount of inclination yourself. You can't just leave it up to software in order to make a story work, because you're gonna use a piece of 3D software and you'll start relying on it. Yeah. Instead of drawing your way through. Do you know what I mean? And I think, like I say, it's like people make comics the way they want to make comics. What stunned me about what he was doing is that he was obviously uber talented, knew exactly what he was doing, and there he was spending all this time modeling like out of clay, but in a 3D environment, so that you could draw over the top of it and then put a light on it. And it's like, why didn't you just draw that? You could obviously just draw it. Why didn't you just draw it?
You know what it is? Where he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know I fucking can be from time to time. And I have to catch myself whenever I can and go, "Where you being a dick? Stop it."
Yeah, stop it. Back the truck up, okay?
It doesn't work if other people point it out to me, but if I catch it myself, it works really fucking quick.
And like I say, it's not me being the comic police. You can do whatever you like whenever you like. Yeah. I just don't understand relying on too many external aspects of making it, of doing whatever you're doing, because you're not doing it yourself. And the whole point of, to me anyway, again, a personal opinion, the whole point of comics is it's a very personal medium. You really are connecting with the person on the other end of the process. And if you've got a whole bunch of programs, applications in between you and them, then the connection's kind of being lost.
I can get where you're coming from. I think the reason why some people do that, maybe this guy is doing it for the same reason. I don't fucking know. I'm not Mystic Meg. Cool, that's a reference and a half, isn't it? Yeah. But maybe it's because we live in a day and age where if you do something that isn't fully polished and super fucking perfect, most people will reject it.
Yeah. Although the stuff he was doing
sucks.
Stupid. The stuff he was doing was quite sketchy, but I don't know. I know exactly what you mean, and I think the problem is and I'm of an age that I've lived through the establishment of digital tools.
Yeah.
When I started, there were no digital tools, and I used digital tools as they came on the market because I was in production, and I was using Apple Macs when they first came out and started using, Photoshop and Quark and PageMaker and all kinds of stuff. And I was very much involved in it. And it was always a fight that when I had younger designers coming up behind me, when I had younger designers coming up behind me, okay, and shocking me, coming up behind me, they were too eager to get to the tools rather than coming up with the concepts. So they'd rush to a Mac so that they could use Photoshop, or so that they could, and it was like, no, get a pencil and a paper out, like get your ideas down.
Yeah, fucking right.
And I see that quite a lot at the moment, because obviously the tools are now, and I see my kids do it, especially my daughter. I swore I'd never buy anything Apple ever again. Didn't last long. Yeah, well, they got my daughter, that's for sure.
So in other words, they got you.
and I see the stuff that she does, and it's fabulous. It's really good. I mean, because she's on an architecture degree course.
Oh, sweet.
But she does, art as well on her iPad and what have you, and it is good stuff. But she does appreciate that she needs to understand things outside of the digital realm. And that's outside, exactly what I was saying. You make comics the way you make comics. There's no right or wrong. It's just, I think the reliance on digital tools, and this is from someone who uses digital tools all the time, or most of the time. The reliance on digital tools sometimes, I think, you can lose an essence of what you're doing. So
I agree, man. I mean,
just something to be aware of,
Like when I was drawing, when I was a kid, just drawing, it was always pencil and paper. When I eventually got back to drawing after many years following an experience with a very bad art teacher at school, and I do mean bad. I hope he's watching this. Fuck him. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking reteach myself how to draw, and I want to do comics and stuff. I was pencil and paper all the way. I was one of those people, when digital tools came along, I was like, get away from me, Satan. And now I am digital myself. I use it for every fucking project. It took me ages before I did a whole book digitally, but it happened. And after that, I was like, I was sleeping on this shit. I should never have just written it off like that. But when I want to sit down and just throw, if I'm thinking of a character and I'm thinking of their look, I will go to paper. Even if I just quickly rough out the shape of the character and their stance on the digital, I'll then print it up, get the light box out, and I'll start sketching over paper. It's the same with writing. I use a computer to type up the scripts, but do you know what comes before the scripts?
Yeah.
Two of these books. There's about 160 pages in each one of these books, right? And I fill up two of them from beginning to end, handwritten. That is pretty much every fucking story that I do. So, and that's before I even think of touching the computer, because it's the best way to go. When people say to me hey man, what's the best software to get started drawing with? I'm like, pencil and paper. That's the best starting software for drawing. My opinion, of course, you may disagree, but
no, you've got Stinch and Marv talking here, and it is a fine line. I mean, I use digital quite a lot, but I try my hardest to use it in a way that I would use traditional mediums.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away wherever possible from trace. I do trace occasionally, but never in my own comic books. I'll only do it for a gig. So if I get an illustration gig, I need to get it out the door quickly. Sometimes I'll use tracing, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll use models, and sometimes I won't. But that's only for production, quick stuff, get it out the door, make money. As far as comic books are concerned, no, never do any tracing. It's all I work it all, because if you start tracing things too much, you'll rely on them, much like I was saying about applications. Don't rely on those things too much, because you need to have it inside. You need to be able to otherwise you can't think of the angles and the situations and the scenery and the situations for telling a story.
Yeah.
And that's the most important aspect of comic books, is telling that story. So
Yeah.
both these guys are right. That, it's just getting that combination and being true to yourself at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
If
I
you
think,
like it doing it that way, then who am I to say no? But
well, yeah, I mean, I take a bit of a different approach to it. I'm like, I don't give a shit how anyone makes their comic book. I care about how the comic book turns out.
yeah,
Like, as long as it turns out the way you want it to turn out, I don't care if you've traced, I don't care if you use 3D models. But then again, I'm someone who's a writer first, artist second, not the other way round. So I will have that different approach to it of, hey, every tool's a tool, fucking use it the best you can.
But I mean, if you look at was it Digital Batman back in the day?
Oh man, there was fucking
one with the 3D glasses and what have you.
Yeah, there were tons of books like that. Do you remember there was an Iron Man graphic novel? I think it was called Crash, where there was no drawing. It was all computer generated. And
it would have been.
We're talking 90s computer generation. The horrible shit.
Idiots. Oh dear. But then sorry, go on.
I've seen, when I've been at conventions, I always check out like the indies and the undergrounds and stuff. The amount of them that I've seen who use like 3D models, there's not one bit of pencil or ink. And I will be honest, I have read some of those.
Yeah. Because the problem is that there are people out there. Oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble for this. There are people out there that want to make comics that don't necessarily have the right kind of approach. It's not. It's the same with the whole money thing. I mean, we know that you need money to live. You need, if you're making entertainment, people need to pay for the entertainment. It's a business. It's a profession. It needs to be done properly and paid for. But at the same time, you still require passion. And there are some people, and like you, I've seen some of them at conventions that have probably just thought, "Oh, this sounds like a good idea. Let's do it." Or this is a nice way for me to get my creative juices flowing because my photography is shit. I don't know. I don't know where they get it from, but you can see the people with passion.
Yes,
and you can see, so you can go there and see a comic book that's been put together with 3D models that looks almost perfect.
Yeah,
and then another one from a guy that's only been drawing 6 months, and it obviously they need a lot of work. But you'll buy that one because it's got passion in it.
Absolutely.
It's got passion in it. And that's what you want to see. And it, like you say, it really doesn't matter how you put a comic together, as long as you can, if you can use all programs and you still manage to get the passion come through, then fine, fuck it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the fucking main thing. I've had many a debate with musicians who are all like, oh no, theory's important. And it's like, well, of course music theory is important. But if it doesn't come from here, it doesn't mean shit. No one's going to fucking care. And it's the same with your storytelling. Like the people who normally suck at telling a story, because believe it or not, guys, some people do. They are people who have nothing to say because they haven't had experiences. They don't have passions. They're just like, I hear comics are popular. I'm going to fucking make a comic. And believe you me, those people are out there.
Stinch nails it. It obstructs the observational skills by not trusting your intuition. I don't criticize the process, but the art feels less organic when there's an artificial trace in a natural scene. Yeah, absolutely nailed it. And then, afterwards, Marv, I've learned a lot with Alex Ross and Frank Rosetta, two masters, how to use references, but drawing and putting my signature in it. Yeah, and that's it. You've got to show through.
Yeah,
you must
absolutely.
And that's something else that's kind of torn me, because 10 years ago when I came back, when I decided I was going to draw for a living, that's when I got my whack on. And I kind of did things in a certain way that I now understand I shouldn't have done, or they weren't working. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And I changed my approach, and that's the last 5 years have been a change of approach. And I really come at it now from it's pseudo traditional as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I'm
I get
just
what you mean.
putting a pencil on a screen. I'm just putting the ink pen on a screen rather than a piece of paper, and that's the way I see it. And that's the way I try and work it. And I just utilize the extra bits, like the Control Z. Oh, what a lovely thing that is!
Oh, that's
and,
one hell of a superpower.
And layers and stuff like that, and the fact that the dog can't eat it and I can't spill my ink pot on it and all that kind of stuff. That's the bit that I'm really interested in. I'm not interested in the special bits. Okay, so I came back and I was using it too much, and so my appreciation changed, and I've got to the point now where I feel like sometimes the applications are used too often by people, and it's sucking the passion out of what they're doing. So I'd really try to temper my use of tools and try and make them as close to traditional as possible. And I still get to do commissions and bits and pieces in the real world. And like I was saying last week for my Indiegogo, I will be doing some of the pages will be traditionally done pages, so I can put them in as a tier. So, but it's important to be able to do, carry on doing real world stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Well, man, I guess that brings us on to the book, or books as the case may be, because for you guys who have been watching, maybe you're new to this show, what we've been doing leading up to now is we've picked a book every week, read it, and then talked about it. This time, we have both picked our own books to read. We haven't told each other what we have read, so this is going to be really fucking interesting, and I'm going to let you take the lead, good sir.
Okay. Right, here we go. This is from the same set of books as the book we had last week.
Okay, cool.
So it's from a set of graphic novels, and this is The Hulk and the Thing, and it's by Jim Starlin and Bernie Wrightson. What a fantastic combination The Big Change. Now, I think before I go any further, I need to, so that I remember. Yeah, the colours in this, I think they were painted.
Oh,
so
right.
I've done ink. So Bernie Wrightson has inked it. And then there's not a name for the colorist, so it must have been done by Bernie himself.
Nice.
And the colors in this are just stunning. See if I can get a really good page up. So that's just utterly gorgeous stuff. And Bernie is it's almost like Bernie's holding himself back a little bit because
right.
Bernie Wrightson's work. Although saying that, look at that.
That's fucking sweet.
Absolutely fabulous stuff.
Oh, that's a fucking gorgeous spread.
And it's really what it is it's a buddy movie. Where
cool.
The Hulk and the Thing get nicked from the planet they're on. They go up to this aliens, and the aliens are trying to get their powers, and they send them on a journey to saying that they're some kind of freedom fighters, and they're not. And then in the end, they nick their powers and put them into this big monster, which is a combination of the Hulk and the Thing, and and they beat it up, and that's the end of it, and they go home, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just my kind of story, very, very shallow. and the last picture, because they've made this wish. The idea is that they get a wish at the end, and like Ben Grimm's thinking, I could turn myself back normal, or world peace, or all these kind of things. And just like the Hulk is like, I'm hungry. So I go back, and there's a pile of hamburgers, and the Hulk is eating the hamburgers, and the Thing is going to smack him on the head with a big rock. And it's just an utterly delightful, fun story that has art to die for in it. And if you can ever get hold of it, do so. It's a wonderful thing to have on your bookshelf. So 10 out of 10, I'm afraid I have to give that. Just stunning, absolutely brilliant. I
will have to hunt it down just for the fact that Hulk was eating hamburgers.
Yeah, Hulk eating hamburgers, and it's
right.
Cool. And that for a back cover. Where is it? Hold on. That's the back cover. Them looking
Oh,
through.
nice.
That's just
Oh,
so,
that's
so
fucking
cool.
great.
It's called The Big The Big Change. Although I think it should have been called The Big Chance, but it's called The Big Change. So
nice. I
utterly
will keep
brilliant.
my eye out for that.
Utterly
I will
brilliant.
so keep my fucking eye out
And
for
that's
that.
in that kind of A4 format, big magazine.
Yeah, that like it's almost
Yeah.
prestige one shot kind of
Yeah,
stuff, isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because like after you recommended that Silver Surfer one, and we talked about that last week, that was really fucking good. So
Yeah.
I will definitely check out that one because there's so many in that series of graphic novels they did.
Yeah, it's classic Marvel fun.
Yeah.
Numpty stuff. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what? Do you know what
Brilliant.
it reminds me of? I can't remember whether I mentioned this before, but like just seeing that Hulk eating hamburger stuff, it reminds me of this movie called Deadly Prey, right? Where where this you've got to love a movie where the lead actor, the lead character, our hero, approaches a bad guy, cuts off their arm, and then beats the bad guy to death with their own arm.
Yeah.
It's fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It just for some reason it reminds me of that. It's that kind of silly that I'm just like, yeah, but that's fucking awesome.
It is
beautiful.
It is completely silly and has the most wonderful art in it. So it's definitely fantastic.
Oh,
yes.
Well, speaking of fantastic,
oh yeah,
what I read was Fantastic Four Season 1.
Ooh.
Now, for people who don't know about this was a line of books that Marvel did, and it was someone's idea to try and get new people on board to start reading comics because they thought about the whole like there's so much history, people don't know where to start, they don't know where to catch up, so they basically did everyone's like origin stories again and called it Season 1. So there's a Spider-Man Season 1, X-Men Season 1, I believe there's a Doctor Strange Season 1, a Daredevil Season 1. I've got this one and the Spider-Man one. And I thought, you know what? I actually haven't read this one before. So I decided to read this.
Go on.
Okay. I'll talk about the writing first. That's probably my forte.
Okay.
For fuck's sake. If you want a book that teaches you how not to write a fucking comic, the first half of this is it.
Ching.
Now, the second half is an improvement. Doesn't mean it's fucking good, though. Like, the writer has gone, you know what the origin story of the Fantastic Four missed? 2 other great Fantastic Four stories just fucking rammed in there. That didn't need to fucking be in there. Okay. The artwork, look, there's the odd bit of artwork that I'm like, okay, that's pretty fucking dope, and I'm not going to try and find an example of it because that would just take forever and a day. And this, we've only got so much time. But this is an example of the artwork. It's not bad, but there's something lacking from it.
Passion.
Yeah, that passion that you mentioned earlier, I really do feel is lacking from this. And there's so
looks like
many,
a really dull spread.
It pretty much is. A lot of the spreads are dull. Every now and then you get like really good bits. Like I really love this shot of Johnny Storm with his girlfriend on top of like the Statue of Liberty and stuff. But this is like once every few pages you're like, oh, that bit's nice. And then you're turning the pages and turning the pages.
Oh dear.
Which is a real shame because I think the Fantastic Four have a great origin story. And I'm going to be biased about that because I'm a Fantastic Four fan. But the fact of the matter is like, whenever they've tried doing the movies, it always starts with the origin story because it's a great story. That's the story that everyone wants to know. And let's face it, when you speak to most people, whether they're Fantastic Four fans or not, and say to them, name me some of the best Fantastic Four stories, they always go, the origin, the wedding, Galactus.
Yeah, and they managed to fuck them all up.
Exactly! Which was in
the origin crap.
They clearly weren't happy enough.
a cloud.
Don't, because I was a fucking sadist over the weekend and I rewatched both the Tim Story Fantastic Fours, and it still fucking hurts seeing that fucking cloud. Like, in those movies, there is something there that could have been a fucking awesome movie, but they fucked.
The first movie,
Yeah.
they had an opportunity. They fucked up Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second movie, again, the Silver Surfer was really good.
Yeah.
And they had an opportunity and they fucked up Galactus. And it's just,
exactly.
It was just, what a mess. An obvious misunderstanding of the original works.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time.
And it doesn't just happen in the movies. The amount of times the origin story of the Fantastic Four has been re-fucking told in the comics.
Stinch.
What did he say?
Counts Lucifer reference Deadly Prey 2. Counts Galactus Cloud is mentioned 5.
I thought I'd mentioned Deadly Prey before. I wasn't sure. Thank you, Stinch.
I know that I've mentioned Galactus as a cloud before because I fucking hate it.
Well, that's because it was fucking stupid.
How can you not mention it?
I remember seeing that in the cinema, right? This is how much of a Fantastic Four fan I am. When that first Fantastic Four movie came out, I went to my local cinema dressed as the Human Torch, right? I made my own fucking costume. It was opening day. I was the only person in costume, and everyone I walked, but like I went to the ticket booth of the cinema and I was like, "Can you guess what I'm here to see?" And they were like, "We're not showing Thunderbirds."
Oh no!
I was like, "You're a fucking dick. You're a fucking dick. I'm here to see Fantastic Four." He's like, "Really?"
Oh,
I then get in the cinema and like everyone else is there. It's just sort of like looking at me and going kind of thing. And it's like, I don't care. And I watched it and all that. When it came to the second one, The Rise of the Silver Surfer, fucking hell. My girlfriend at the time was like this far away from going, why did I ever start dating you?
Yeah.
Like, if I knew that this moment was going to happen where you were going to spend 3 hours afterwards complaining about Galactus as a cloud and every other sentence beginning, and another thing, it wasn't as bad as when I saw Spider-Man 3 on opening day.
Oh, God.
Like, I was really excited for that one. I booked a day off work because at the time I was working in retail. And all my friends, they couldn't get the day off work. And I was like, that's okay. Because I've booked tickets to see it with them in the evening. It's bound to be good, right? So I'll go see it in the morning, right? With a couple of friends who weren't working at the time because they were jobless. So I bought so many tickets for the same day to see that fucking film. I go to the very first showing. I was so fucked off with it that I got out of the cinema and I was like, I need a beer. I need a beer now. I want to go home. By the time I got home, my flatmate opened the door to see me go, fucking pissed out of my fucking tree, practically crying, going, I just saw Spider-Man 3 and it was shit. Hold me.
Here's a right. I might upset you with this.
Oh, go for it.
Spider-Man 3 is only as bad as it is because of how good Spider-Man 2 was. If we had,
I get what you mean.
Because Spider-Man 2 is quite possibly the best superhero film of all time.
Get what you mean. I get what you mean.
And if we hadn't have been so spoilt by that masterpiece, maybe Spider-Man 3 wouldn't have been so bad. Just saying. It's like I was saying about Venom. I know you hated Venom, but in my limited ability and my shallowness, I kind of enjoyed a lot of it. So,
but how does Spider-Man 2, like if Spider-Man 2 wasn't as good as it was, how would that change Tobey Maguire's dancing? And also his demonstration of, I'm evil now, let me show you. I'm going to eat cookies whilst I'm on the phone to someone.
Okay, there are immutable things that I can't do anything about. I'm sorry.
And neither can Spider-Man 2.
No.
You haven't upset me, by the way. I just wanted to get those things in there.
Stench again. What a sense of humour. I envision a skin suit with frilly fires in the wind stitched onto the muscles. I'd light myself on fire too. That's brilliant. Oh, funny guy. Oh dear.
Oh man. So yeah, I read Fantastic Four season 1. If
which
you can read it if you
want, really.
you can read. Look, I love Fantastic Four. I wish I picked a different book. I wish I'd picked a different Fantastic Four book.
Both of our books had the thing in.
Yes. But oh my god, the amount of stuff they just took from other people's stories and tried to fucking wedge in here, and they didn't even understand half of it. Like, remember I mentioned the Grant Morrison story 4321, where in it Susan Storm, like, she approaches Reed at one point. She's like, "Look, Reed, you know, we've been together a long time and stuff, and I'm starting to think that you've possibly got autism." And they start exploring that as a very serious idea.
Sorry to laugh. I was thinking more along the lines of, look, can you not just make your dick a bit bigger?
Like, look, your technique is fantastic.
But you're the Mr. Fantastic. You know, come on.
Come on. You see this?
Oh dear, that's enough of that.
More of this, less this. But no, she approaches him and says, "Look, I think he might be autistic," and he takes that very seriously. He's like, "Shit, maybe she's got a point," and they explore it very seriously, even though brief. Well, they've taken that idea from 4321 and they've rammed it in here, and it's literally 2 sentences. One person going, "I think you're autistic, Reed," and the other one going, and Reed saying, "Yes, I do believe I have mild autism, but I'm already making a cure for it."
Oh, cure? Oh, they put that in a book.
I know. There's a couple of
burn that book. I'd quite like, and I don't like burning books.
There's a couple of other things that they've got in here, and bear in mind, this isn't something that was like before the 2000s. Oh god, this is like just before 2010, I think.
And they were talking about a cure for it. That's just so hideous.
And let me have a look. First printing, 2011.
Not good.
But there's other stuff in here that I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember turning certain pages and going, "The politically correct are going to have a fucking field day if they ever get hold of this."
Yeah.
They are going to scream bloody fucking murder.
That's just not good. I open and honest. My son is Asperger's.
Oh right, so he's on the spectrum.
So he's on the spectrum, but you know, his view is he would never want to be cured. No. Horrible thing to say. It is what he is. You know, as far as he's concerned, he's like the X-Men. He's evolved past us.
But I have a family member who's on the very extreme part of the spectrum of autism, to the point where they are in a care home. It's like, this is the thing, the mainstream media and even online, autism has been talked about a lot, which I think is a very good thing. They do tend to show us the lighter side of it. They don't show you the very extreme side of it.
They gloss over it. They gloss
and
they do with everything.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to see that because it's not fucking easy. I can tell you that first fucking hand.
I can understand why some people in those extreme circumstances might look at things like a cure.
Yes.
But a cure is not a cure, not for something like that. It's it's just not. And it's a hideous thing to think, but there's apparently lots of clinics in America that provide that kind of service.
Well, research has shown that apparently stem cells injected into the stomach has helped to cure it.
Cure it, or simply just temper.
That's what I'm wondering. I've heard them say cure, but I don't know what they mean by cure. I want to know what their definition of cure is. But lots of studies have been going on for years where they actually think it's more to do with the stomach than it is the actual brain.
Really. Well,
which is fascinating.
My son's diabetic as well. So
type 1 or type 2?
Type 1. Type
1.
Proper diabetic.
Because my sibling's type 2.
Oh, right. Okay. No, he's type. Poor little bugger. He got told at 14.
Oh, fucking hell, that's tough, man.
Yeah, it was. And then we'd always known that he was unique, let's say. And eventually we he wanted to go and see someone. We took him, and we had to get a second bloody opinion. But the senior professor or whatever he was went, oh yeah, definitely, And so we got he was actually listed as having Asperger's. So and we've never claimed anything or done anything, but all it did was give him something to understand why he was a certain way. It was just a helpful thing. And I presume
it's the theory of if you can name the demon, you can slay the demon.
Exactly. And I think with these clinics where they talk about cures or whatever, it's probably just that they can alleviate some of the extreme things that can go with it. But it's such a wide spectrum that it's really difficult to nail any of it. So
yes, exactly. Well, I mean, like, I'm sure your son is capable of tying his own shoes.
Oh, my son is like, it's very small. I mean, he's got a job and he's been to university.
Well, there you go. So, whereas with my brother, to be more precise, he can't wash himself. He can't tie his own shoes. If people don't mind, and this may be something that upsets a couple of people, I will tell you my very earliest memory, because he's 16 years older than me. So I was born as a young carer. Okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my earliest memory is about 4 years old, waking up in the middle of the night to hear blood-curdling screams. And at 4 years old, you don't think, I'm going to run away from that. You think, I'm going to run to that. What the hell's going on? Because you're worried. Yeah. So I run to the bathroom where it's coming from, and my mum and my dad are in fucking tears, and there's blood everywhere. Because he was about 21 at that time. Right. And he doesn't like the dentist. And he was told earlier that day, tomorrow, you're going to the dentist. And his theory was, if I don't have any teeth, I don't need to go to the dentist. So he found some razors and decided to use them on his own teeth. Wow. And this is what I mean by there are severe sides to this. Very easily. I've had it before where, a couple of people who've known me have said, like, oh, have you ever thought of having kids? And I've been like, to be honest, I'm kind of scared to, because I've grown up with an autistic brother like that. Yeah. I don't want to risk having a kid that's autistic. And then they treat me like I'm a piece of shit. And it's like, well, you haven't had the experiences I fucking had, so fuck you.
So easy for people to make a judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, there was me judging people who were on YouTube using 3D programs, but that's not quite the same thing.
That's not autism, though, is it?
It is so easy for people to judge and not, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that goes for everything. Just think about it. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was a bit heavy. Never mind.
Well, it had to happen at some point. Look, I'm someone who wears my heart on my fucking sleeve at the end of the day. And if people don't like that, then, well, that's their problem, not mine.
That's why it works.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So is that everything? Have we covered everything for this week?
I think so. We did 2 books. I got upset about something. And we both complained about a few things. I think we've probably done our job.
And I've drunk two of these.
I started a new bottle.
Fantastic. That is beautiful. I wonder how many bottles you will get through by the time we get to Christmas.
Yes, that would be good. I'll have to take account.
Okay, guys. Well, I guess we're wrapping things up for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's episode of Is It Just Us?
Mm.
And Russ, why don't you let them know where they can find you?
You can find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find me on YouTube as Comicbook Blackbelt. You can also find me at my book, onlydeathcansavus.com. There's an email subscription list that will be up on Indiegogo soon. You can find me at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those kind of places. I'm around. Put my name in. It's there.
Cool, man. And you guys can find me over at luciferstorm.com. You can try the other places, but there's always luciferstorm.com. That's probably the best place to go. Like I said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's show. We will be back again next Monday, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, as always. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Most importantly, stay safe and stay awesome.
Peace out.